Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today we are going to be experimenting and showing you ways that we can highlight our embossing, but just using the products that we have. Now, I have a range of kind of bits and pieces that I pulled here. Some of these may be still available, some may not be still available. So I do have an acrylic paint, I've got an Opal kind of paint, I've got some texture paste, some lunar paste from Simon Hurley. Let's give it a go and have a look at some of the results that you can achieve by going over your embossing. Now, I'm going to use 2 embossing folders today. These ones are going to be on some brown, some dark chocolate cardstock from Gina K. And then I also have some navy cardstock from Lawn Fawn, and I will, in the description box down below, I will link to the type of navy. It's my favorite one. And then I have 2 embossing folders that I'm going to use. This one here is called Woodlands Floral Frame. Just a gorgeous basic embossing folder with the floral elements to the side, and then it allows really nicely for a sentiment or something to go in the center. And then I also have the tumbling flowers. Now this one is more of a, I guess, bottom left to top right, or depending on which way around. Then you have these gorgeous sort of tumbling flowers that go through the center of it. Again, 2 sort of basic but really good staples. You know how you have like basic pantry staples that are always going to be really good for all sorts, like rice and pasta and those sorts of things? Well, these kind of embossing folders are going to be just really good, generic, good for lots of things embossing folders. So I have got a couple of makeup wedges today, nothing fancy. I even cut these in half so that they can go a little bit further. And I want to do a little bit of comparison because I really do want you to dive into your own stash, see what you've got, and you might have one or more of these products or something similar or something completely different, and give that a go. Now this is an older one for me, at least. I've had this for a good amount of time. Now 2 impressive things here. One, it's still in great nick for all of that time, and you know, it hasn't dried up, it hasn't gone goopy. But 2, they're also still available and a whole new range of colors. Then I have the Slippery When Wet, which is my favorite gold, even though there is another gold in the Simon Hurley Lunar Paste. And then this is the Stamperia Metallic White Gold Acrylic Paint. Now, let's go through these. What results are we going to get? Now, I have done a few embossing panels just so that we can see the results. Now, this one here is the Opal Magic. And it goes, you know, it looks kind of like green in the tub, but it goes on gold. That's part of the Opal Magic. And, you know, it's okay. It's going on top. It's going on top. This one here is the Lunar Paste. Again, it's going on top, and it's highlighting all of those raised portions of the embossing folder. It's very metallic-y and very shiny, so that is cool too. This is the silver version of it, and again, this is on the navy cardstock, so it's going to look different on different types of dark cardstock. These are going to work best on dark. If you want something more subtle, then of course you could go for a lighter color there. I really like the silver. I think that's going on really nicely. And then I tried the Stamperia acrylic paint, and this one glides over top really beautifully, but it's also a stunning color. Now, of course, because of the different thicknesses and viscosities of the product, and you know, all the different things that make it up, it's going to go on differently. They just are. So when I'm looking at all 4 of these test pieces, you can let me know in the comment section down below, which one would you carry on with and do another panel with? Which one did you think kind of looked the best? I know it's hard to tell when you're not doing it yourself and you're just looking at a quick image on the screen, but for me, it was definitely the Stamperia acrylic paint. That one went on the best. It looks the best. It glides on beautifully. Application is, you know, 8/10 of the deciding factor here, because obviously we want to be able to apply it nicely for enable it to look nice to our eyes. Now, I do just want to point out that this right now is in real time. This is how slow I go to do this, and I am going to speed this up. See, we've sped it up now just to get the process nice and done. But just know that I actually go relatively, not super slow, but, you know, a little bit slower. and you just have to take your time. I'm not putting any pressure at all on the makeup wedge. You really just want to skim over top of the image. Now, by all means, can you try other applicators, as in foam brushes, as in domed blenders, or flat foam blenders? All the things. Give them a go. If that's what you've got, if you've got some sponge, if you've got a kitchen sponge to cut up, then try that. You never know what is going to work if you don't give it a go. And like me trying out these different products, I couldn't have told you before I tried them all which one I was going to like best. Probably maybe would have said the Stamperia paste, just because it's thicker than the acrylic paints, but you know, it's okay. Right, we've done a little bit of exploring here. This is on the brown, and this looks pretty good. We're going to move on to the navy, and again, I'm going to stick with that same paint. I actually got a couple of these colors recently. I got the, it's a copper one and a gold one, and then this white gold, and I really love them, more than I thought I would. I do have a few acrylic paints. I usually stick with the Dina Wakley ones, but I was looking to add a couple of metallics into the range, mainly for my gel printing. But, you know, I'm so glad that we have found other uses for them, and they actually go beautifully over these embossed panels. So really, really fun. Now, by all means, can you use ink? Yes, metallic inks. Go for gold. White ink. Absolutely. I have videos on how to do that too on my channel. Use what you have. Give it a go. See the results that you can achieve. Now, because I'm still in the experimenting phase, these two panels I have gone quite heavy. Now, I know it looks like I've gone kind of light, but actually when I was looking at these panels here, I thought, you know what, it feels like there's too much on there. So let's try and go super light. I barely touch my sponge. I go much quicker, and I have way less paint on my sponge as well. I really just use, in fact, I don't even reload it for this whole session that I did, and this to me looks way better, even better than before. So sometimes you just don't know unless you try, and you don't know unless you experiment. For example, if I had given up before thinking, you know, those two panels look okay, but not what I want, not what I'm after. But anyhow, go again, try again. You might want to use some scrap paper. You might want to use some more cheap and cheerful paper, but it is all worth experimenting. And for me, the lesson here was super duper duper light with very, very, very little paint on the sponge. Now, this is a cut off piece of that brown, and I'm actually going to use this to pop my sentiment on. Now, this is a tiny little set here from Woodwear. They have lots of these ones that are all sorts of short sayings, congratulations on your engagement, thank yous, thinking of yous, happy birthdays, all of these tiny little sets here. Now, this one is a thinking of you, and it has it in two different fonts. Because of the size of the stamp set, obviously there's just two little stamps, it has a fantastic price point, and just means that you can have, like, there's one that has aunts, uncles, and granddads and grandmas and things like that. Just means that you can have all of those words without having to fork out for a larger stamp set and a full stamp set with things that you might not necessarily use. So these for me are really handy. I am going to do these with some embossing ink, and then I'm going to pop some gold embossing powder over top. Now, I could not decide which one of these fonts I wanted, so I did them both for the minute. I had space to do them, and whilst I've got them out, I may as well do them in case I change my mind halfway. So I'm going to pop some gold embossing powder. This is the Superfine Gold from Ranger. I will link all of the products that I have used down below if you are interested in checking them out, or you just want to look at them a bit closer, have a look at some of the products that I've used and see if you've got something similar in your stash. I also, if you are really enjoying my content, I have my own website, natashafootecreative.com, and over there I run card making classes. I have a whole year's worth of videos. I did the A to Z of the alphabet in card making. That is complete, and I have a whole new season starting in 2025 as well, so that is exciting coming up. Right, back to this one. I am popping these down onto a piece of white cardstock just because I think they need help popping off the page a little bit more, because they are of course gold on brown, and we're popping it down onto the brown, the dark chocolate cardstock as well. So we just need a little bit of help of popping these off the page. And the white, I am going to put these onto a white card base, so therefore I thought a white little backing matting layer here is going to work well too. Again, I'm doing both of these, and I know I'm only going to end up using one, but I still don't know which one, and I'm okay with that because I'll pop the other one in my scraps stash and I'll be able to use it still. Now, I did think before I popped this on, instead of a matting layer, I'm going to go around with a good amount of that paint and just go around the edge to frame it really nicely. This used to be a technique that I would do all the time with ink, and I would be able to, again, it's kind of like putting in a matting layer except for just framing your work nicely. And as I said, I've got the 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white card base. I pop some 1 millimeter, 1 inch wide foam tape on here just to pop it up off the page a little bit. This design is pretty simple, I guess, but it is a gorgeous thinking of you card, I think, and I love the gold popping off of the chocolate cardstock. So I'm going to layer this up. If you are not sure about placement, then pop some liquid glue on the back of your foam, and that way you'll have the foam pop up, but you'll also be able to wiggle it around because of the liquid glue. Okay, so we've got the gold here. Now, is it going to be this one popped up in the center, or is it going to be this one? Now, honestly, both of these look perfectly fine, but I think I'm going to go with this one. As I said, they both look very similar, and they both would have worked perfectly fine, but I think this one just, I don't know, this one just did it for me. I'm happy with how all of the elements of this card came together, and I hope that you experiment with some of the things that you have in your stash to see what looks you can get out of it, especially your gorgeous embossing folders. But other than that, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye!